All right, what's up, Daystar families? Thank you so much for joining us. I see some people hopping in the chat. Carrie is on here, Luke, Andrew, what's up, Brzezinski? Luke, Madison's, King Boogie 3204.
Oh, that's Tyreek.
What's up?
That's Tyreek.
Tyreek. Cool, so I've got some friends here. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
So I'm Caleb.
I'm Izzy.
That it?
Yeah.
That's all you got? Man, we did this last week. All right, so tell your names, but like your grade,
right,
a little
sweet.
bit about yourself or something. All right.
All right, so I'm in 10th grade. I really like sports, watching sports, playing sports. It's a lot of fun for me. I like video games, of course. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit about me.
Roll Tide.
I'm
right.
in 7th grade, and I like to play volleyball and golf.
That's very true. I was about to say, you're not going to say like the sports you play? So, because I've heard you like you're really good. You won't say that, but people talk about how good you are. It's awesome. You said video games. What's your favorite video game right now?
Favorite video game right now is probably 2K.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
I play that a lot.
I've
right now.
never understood people who are like so into like the sport games.
Well, it's all about your
Like-
my career. You gotta get your my career. You gotta get 'em-
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't just play. Just
Just
quick
basketball,
play.
like
That's boring.
Right. Well, I've like Call of Duty and stuff growing up.
Yeah,
Like that was the
that's
jam. bro.
definitely
That's
my
what-
number 2.
Okay, all right, that's good. All right, so we got the Hollimans are here. Come on,
Yo,
the
what's
Hollimans. What a
up?
great family. Ben and Elise, Luke again. You know what's up? Said duh. All right, so today, so like last week, for everyone that's watching, if you didn't check out last week's stream, it is saved on the YouTube channel. You can go watch it after this. But last week, we just kind of opened up the conversation, right? So I basically sat here and asked 2 other students, just tell me about COVID. Like, how is quarantine treating you? And so that opened up like a whole can of worms. Like we talked about relationships and social media and the stress of school and like so many different things. So tonight we're kind of narrowing in our conversation a little bit, and we're narrowing in specifically to the area of social media. So tonight we're having a lot of conversation around that topic. And at the end of the day, I want to reiterate the reason we're having this conversation, especially about social media right now, is so that we can begin a conversation here that you can finish at home. So we want to start a conversation. We want to be, we want to be vulnerable on camera and have some conversations about some real topics. And maybe some topics later on that are just very difficult for you to bring up in your home. But then also maybe it's just easy for some people, and we just want to help further it along. So wherever you are in your conversation piece at home, whether it's free flowing all the time and you're just super open about stuff, or you're really not, we're trying to help everybody just take a step. Take a step to helping the home become a better place where God can really just do all the things that He's trying to accomplish in your family this fall. So, you guys ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. So here's some facts for you. We talked about some facts last time about just like anxiety and depression that COVID and quarantine has caused, because it's really separated you guys from relationships, big time. So really the default from there is like social media, for a lot of people at least. It's social media is my relational connection now. So here's the facts about social media as far as the 2 biggest ones that I could pull, at least as, the biggest concerning ones. The first one is that over 50% of teens admit to feeling addicted to their devices. So that's not specifically social media. That's just like texting, FaceTime, GroupMe, Discord, YouTube, whatever it is. People are addicted to their phones. And that's over 50%. So that's over 50%, and that's the ones that admitted to it. So some people are like, I'm not going to admit to that. But you are, or maybe you don't recognize you are. And then the second thing is that the average teen spends over 9 hours a day consuming media. 9 hours a day. That's more than people work.
Yeah.
Like your parents go and they work traditionally like 9 to 5 kind of thing. It's
Yep.
like over 9 hours a day. So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever it is, you're filling your mind with all that, right? So those are the facts. That might not be the case for you guys. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second, just kind of see what your personal experience is. But for y'all at home, I think we need to realize that that is a problem, and maybe a problem that people don't really understand that they have. And so I was kind of telling them before we started this stream is that one of the things that we want to do with this conversation is to help our families realize maybe a problem that we didn't know that we had before, and then go in and address it. Kirk Cameron, he's a Christian author and leader, and he says, if we don't understand the problem, then we don't really know the best way to address the problem. So we have to understand it first. So we're gonna understand it a little bit. So for you guys, question time. So social media. We'll start with you, Izzy. So Big Z. It's so funny because I used to call you, like as soon as I met you, you were like a lot shorter than you are now. And so I called you Big Z all the time. And now it's becoming like less funny because you're actually growing to like a normal height. And so I'm like, I wonder when I'm gonna stop saying that, but I don't know. Anyway, so do you have social media?
No, I don't.
At all?
Not at all.
But you've had it before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what did you have? You had
TikTok.
TikTok, that was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had it before, but you don't now.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of walk us through that, like why the retraction of social media?
Well, I think just it got really addicting, and I was on it a lot, and it was distracting me from doing other things, like being with family or friends, and also it's just not the best site to have. It's like random stuff can pop up, and it's like you don't even know. So it's just not a really good environment for me to be in personally.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, when you say that, it makes me think about like when you do have a best friend. So like you have your friends on social media kind of thing, but then like you have your best friends and you go over to their house or something. And like I'm just thinking about when I grew up, my best friend, anytime I went over to his house, I knew his parents, I knew his brother, and his immediate friends.
Yeah.
So I pretty much know the flow of what it's like to be at his home.
Yeah.
I knew that it was a safe environment for me to be there. And one of the things that you just kind of hit on was that like when you go on social media, you don't know what you're stepping into. Like you can stumble onto something 2 clicks and you're in a terrible situation.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's a very weird, it's like a landmine. You
Yeah,
never
for
know
real.
what you're going to step on. It's crazy.
For real.
So what about you? Social media?
Yeah, I don't have social media.
0.
Nope, nothing.
Have you ever had it?
Nope.
Okay. So
No.
what's that been like?
I mean,
I'm assuming that was a parent decision, right?
yeah,
Okay.
it was mostly a parent decision, but the more that I thought about it, the more I realized, this is probably for the better. I should not have social media. I mean, it's just kind of like what Izzy was saying. There's so much stuff on social media that you don't know about, and so many areas where, like you said, 1 click and you're looking at something that you don't want to look at, or you're in a spot that you can't get out of, and everything, it's just chaotic because now
Right.
your parents mad. You didn't mean to do it, but you ended up doing it, and
Yeah.
the devil's going to use that, and he's going to tempt you through social media.
Right.
So I think it's just, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. So for you, when your parents made that decision together and said like, hey, no social media, you originally, we talked about it a little bit before, but you said originally you did not agree with the decision up front, right?
Yeah, for a little while, I was like, all my friends have social media. Why can't I have social media? There's no way that I'm going to fall into temptation or do all the bad things that are on social media. But, I've seen friends who have, said that too, there's no way I'm going to look at these things or talk to these people or whatever. And they have, and it's caused so much area. It's just been a dark area in their life, and it's caused so much trouble between them and their families.
Yeah, no, I mean that's just real. Like so your parents originally said like no social media.
Yeah.
You didn't agree with it at first, but then you watched the toll that it can take. It took a toll on all your friends, and then so over time you basically were saying like I'm glad that's not me. Like at the end of the day, that's what you're saying. So that kind of like that goes into our next question, which was how have you seen social media impact your relationships with your friends?
Yeah, it's definitely changed the way that they think. They always want to, the ones that have gotten into it really bad, they always want to be on social media. And it's like, okay, well, if there's a void in their life, it's like they're thinking, okay, it's going to be filled with social media. There's always, in their mind, there's always going to be something on there that's going to fulfill them. But in reality, I mean, there's nothing there's nothing in their life there's nothing in social media that's going to fill their life.
So you've seen it take almost like an idol spot in their life.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's good. For you guys, one of the things that we're talking about is these questions that we're talking about. they came from y'all. So like we posted on social media and you guys asked a lot of great questions. So basically we've taken those questions and we just kind of like formatted them in a way where we can have a discussion about them. If you have any more that you think about along the way, then post them in the chat. Like we have a chat screen right here. We're watching the chat. We're saying hey to people. We'll answer your questions. So if you've got questions, then post them in there and you know, we'll process them as we go. So what about you? They've impacted your friends? How have you seen that?
So like a couple of them, they had TikTok as well, and it just got to the point every time I went over to their house, it's like all we did. And it's like, why would I come over to your house if we're just going to sit and do this? And then we would make them. And so it just got really bad, and I just didn't want to be in that environment anymore.
So it kind of, when you're looking at your personal relationship and how social media affected you in your relationship with someone personally, you think that it kind of took away from the connection piece, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I feel like Michaela and I even like we struggle with that sometimes where like we have a 1-year-old and we're about to have another baby in November, right? So it's like okay, so I've got
Yeah, I saw that. I was trying not to laugh.
What's up, K-Bob? What? You're gonna have to explain that in a second.
Yeah, I'll explain that. I used to call myself K-Bob when I was a little kid. I guess my name started with a K. I guess I thought that. Turns out it doesn't. So
surprise! It doesn't
Yep.
actually. That's hilarious. Okay, well that just made my night. That was great. No, so Michaela and I were talking about you know, like what this looks like for our new up and coming family, and I've struggled with it now. Even it's like, okay, there's a moment where Declan does something funny or he's like making everybody laugh, and I want to capture it, but I also want to like be in the moment.
Yeah.
And I wonder oftentimes like should I try to capture this, or is that going to remove me in a way from experiencing everything that God has for me in this moment, connecting with my son? And that's so true for like friends and their friends too. It's like, hey, we're going to spend all this time on social media together, or we could actually enjoy each other's presence. It's like, you know, that's kind of a weird way to relate as a parent, but I feel like a lot of people can do that. So, no, it's good. So, let's see. So this one is interesting. So we just talked about how it affects your relationship with your friends. So how do you respond to that? Like if you're around people, like do you feel like you have a place in your friend's life to say like because you guys are, I feel like you guys are the exception for sure. Like you don't have social media. So a lot of people do have social media. So like how do they respond? How do they connect when like, okay, so put yourself in the situation of you don't have social media.
Right.
You know that you're the exception because majority of people your age do. You're around people in a social setting, maybe at a party or something, where there's like 50 people on their phones all at the same time. And they're just like looking, they're scrolling or something, right? So like, how do you respond in that situation? Do you feel like you just kind of don't really say anything, or do you try to start something that'll get them off their phones? Do you personally address people and be like, hey, like, could you just be here right now kind of thing? Like, that's such a weird place to be in, you know? So how do you guys respond to that?
For me, you know, I think it really just depends on how much they're into the phone. So if, like you said, it was a party, you know, I'd just try and get something going, like maybe a game or, I don't know, just get something going. But if it's like a friend and I'm over at his house and it's like, I ask him, you want to go shoot basketball outside, you know, just something simple that friends do. And he's like, nah, he just sits there scrolling on his phone. It's just like.
Hang out with you? No, I'm good. Like, you know.
Yeah, I think I would address that and just say, you know, why are you wasting so much time?
Yeah, no, that's good. So what about you?
Well, like Caleb was saying, like if it was at a party, I would try and get something going, like to get them off. But like when I did have social media and I'd go over to my friend's house and then like they were on their phone, it was really tempting for me to be on my phone and like also do that with them. But like now getting off of social media, I've tried to like back away from that and get them to like come and hang out with me actually, and sometimes they'll come. Yeah. But it's really hard.
It's almost like well, everybody's doing it, so like
But
kind of like you at the beginning, like you saw like what everybody's doing, it's like why can't I? You know, it's like that's a difficult pressure to deal with at your age, especially now when it's almost like it's almost excusable now because it's like, well, you don't hang out with people, so like, yeah, just go connect online or something. You know, it's like because you're locked in your house because of quarantine or whatever. I feel like we're getting a little bit more away from that, but now we're directly having to have conversations about the effects of quarantine and how much we had to rely on social media.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a weird spot to be in. Okay, so I love this question. So a lot of people were talking about school and stuff. Somebody asked a question, name for the baby. The baby's name is Jax, Jax. And it means God has shown us favor and has been gracious. That's a good name right there. Oh, it's sick. Jax Cannon Jones. Nobody better steal that from now till November. You know what I mean? All right.
For real.
So I love this question. This question is, how do you connect with people in school? So if y'all are both in school right now, right? Or are you just online?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
online.
online.
So y'all are just online. So because some people are doing like you go in Monday and you do that whole
I start
thing.
that soon.
Oh, you do start that soon? Okay, so think about yourself in a setting at school, okay?
Right.
So how do you connect with people in school versus how you connect with them on social media? So think about when you did have social media and think about for you, because you've never had it, think about how different it is for people where like they can kind of be fake on social media and then like it looks like they have this awesome life and then you show up at school and it's like, man, you're really no fun to be around. You know, it can be like that sometimes. So like, let's process that a little bit. Like, what do you think that the difference is and how have you seen it?
Yeah, what you're saying about people being fake, you know, I've seen that where people pretend to be something they're not, whether that's on social media or in real life. They're trying to either make themselves seem cool on social media or in real life. It's normally one or the other. And I've also found that like when you have like talk to people in real life and have like a genuine relationship, it just feels more real. Like I feel like you're actually a friend with that person. Like, you know, like you said earlier about your best friend, like you know their family, their friends, you know a lot about them. It just feels like an actual relationship.
Yeah, that's good. Like when I think back to like, I mean, I remember the first time I heard about Instagram and I was like, what is that? And then like, I mean, I was like in 9th grade or something. And I remember like getting on it and I remember watching people and I was shocked at people that I knew of that are like the most timid, like introverted person that you could ever be around. Almost like just super just shy, almost scared to be around people. And then on Instagram, they were posting stuff like they were 10 foot tall and made of steel, like putting people on blast for the most ridiculous stuff. And it was weird to see the confidence that somebody has behind a screen. And then to see them in school the next day and they're just walking like this through the halls.
Yeah.
That's like, that's so weird. It just brought up a whole another like thought process for that. So what's your experience with like been like with that?
Kind of the same thing as you guys were saying. Like I've seen people be fake. And also, like what you were saying, how they open up more on social media because it's not face-to-face. And then when you get to face-to-face, it's really hard to do stuff like that.
Yeah, right. It's almost like when you get to face-to-face, you don't know how to interact.
Yeah.
You're so used to interacting online and just like all your comments and your DMs and your whatever else. Yeah, it's like you have all that going and then like you see somebody in person, you have a conversation with them and it's like people like, it's like, hey, look me in the eyes, I'm having a conversation with you. And they're like, yep, see ya. And it's like you didn't just step in and out of my DMs, you know what I mean? Like we met in the hallway and we wanted to talk, you know, it's like, it's strange. So we talked a lot a bit. What did I say earlier? I said,
you said
fart something.
about the fart phone.
I had a question about a smartphone, and I said fart phone instead. Anyway, we're just not gonna talk about it. Anyway, so what are some examples? We talked about some examples of how social media has been bad. Have you seen some examples of how social media has been good? And what's your experience been like with that?
Yeah, I've definitely seen some instances where, you know, people can use it to encourage people and just lift them up. That's really the main thing that I've seen is just people using it not to be negative or be fake, but to encourage people. So,
what about you?
sums up what I was gonna say.
Kind of the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think about our church right now.
Yeah.
Like we have more of a reach right now than we did on a Sunday morning. And it, like, everything's on social media. Like, if social media did not exist, I don't know what our reach would look like. You know, it's like, because people have this understanding of, like, if I can't be there in person, I can be there online. And social media has brought that to the surface, and it's been highlighted over the past few months. During quarantine and even now through the fall semester, as we're doing services online and small groups online, it's interesting how people, you know, they look at the screen and they say, oh, I'll try something that I've never tried before. So now you have a lot of people trying church for the first time. They see, like, all the world's, you know, just going downhill, like, oh, I need some hope. And it's like, well, church is right there. You know, so that's obviously one good way. And I've seen other things where it's like, you know, people can bring awareness to a subject of, or maybe like, I've seen a lot of people who are like raising funds for missions and stuff, and you can share it and like all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely one of those things where we kind of have to step back and realize that social media, it's almost like this phrase I heard growing up: the right decision handled in the wrong way is a wrong decision. So social media is not a good or bad thing. It just exists.
Yeah.
We have to use it with wisdom, right? So like we have to decide the boundaries that we place in it for our own selves and the boundaries that we place around our homes. So as families, as you're talking about this, maybe you can bring up some questions and some ideas about what social media boundaries look like in your home, and around the dinner table and all that stuff. Like Chick-fil-A did something where, like, didn't they do that thing where, like, if you put the phone away while you were having dinner or like while you're eating, then you could go like free ice cream for everybody or something?
I don't know. That sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome. I think I remember seeing that somewhere. I can't remember exactly what it was, but something like that for your home, like, could be super cool. Okay, so let's see. So we're getting through like the end of these questions. One of the last ones is: do you feel because you don't have social media? Be honest.
Yeah.
Because you don't have social media, do you feel like you're missing out?
I feel like sometimes I am. Like, sometimes I'll miss things, or, you know, I won't see things that other people will. But, you know, sometimes it's good to not see those other things that other people see. And, you know, if it's really something that I need to hear, it's going to get to me some way, somehow.
That's so good. That's awesome. What about you?
Yeah, I just totally blanked.
Do you feel like you're missing out?
So, like, yes, kind of, when, like, I see my friends that are also on it, and then, like, me not being able to have it and connect with them on it, but then it's also a benefit because, you know, they see other things that we don't that could be bad and affect a lot of things.
Yeah, and I love what you said. It's like, if I really needed to see that, if I really needed to know about it, like, you know, one of the things that I think about often with social media is how people, like, for our generation, I'm in the same generation as you guys. I'm not that old, just so you know. But for our generation, it's just so interesting to see how the primary source of news and information is not CNN, it's not Fox, it's Instagram.
Yeah.
It's Instagram, it's Snapchat, it's Facebook, it's whatever. So, like, you see all these, you know, these news channels and stuff, and they're putting all this stuff up there, and it's like, all that's there. It's not good or bad or whatever. It's there. But our generation hardly looks at that. And if they do, it's almost with a cynical eye. It's almost like, I don't believe that anyway. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to believe what I see on social media, and that's where I'm going to get the majority of my information. So for you guys, y'all are, like I said, the exceptions. Statistically speaking, that's true for the majority of our generation. And it's also even more difficult because, like we said earlier, that's the news and the opinions are all out on social media, and they're said in a way that is much more confrontational than it ever would be face to face. You know what I mean? Because we talked about the kind of courage that you get from the social media thing. So anyway, yeah. Let's see. I got a question. What do they think about memes and trends, and if they understand them? What do they think about memes and trends, and if they understand them? What do you think about that question?
You know, I don't think memes are a bad thing. Are some memes and trends that are certainly not good, but, you know, like our 252 meme group chat. You know, we just go
Yeah,
in
that's a
there.
good example.
Yeah, we just
Which,
go in there.
which do we understand them? Half the time I don't understand
Yeah, I
that
was about
one.
to say.
I see like you post something or Dylan or somebody post something and I'm
Yeah.
like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of a tricky one. You just have to be careful where you look at memes and where you find them. And if you do see one that you feel like is wrong or is inappropriate, you know, you got to make sure that you know, if it's like a trend, obviously don't do that trend. Or if it's like a meme, you know, don't repost it or just, you know, just move on.
There's some people that I've seen see memes, think that they were funny, repost them because they thought they meant one thing,
Yeah.
and they totally did not mean that, and it was like crazy inappropriate. And they had to go back and take it down and apologize to people. It was
Yeah.
kind of a mess. But like, yeah, know your memes. There's actually a website called Know Your Memes, so, and it explains all of it. It's okay, me. Madison's got it. Okay, good. Okay, so we've got 5 minutes left in our conversation, so it goes by quick, right?
Dang.
So the last question I'm going to ask you guys, one more question, and then I'm going to give the parents and the families and students, if you're watching by yourself or whoever, I'm going to give you guys a couple of questions to process on your own, and to even have, like, continue the conversation after this is over with these questions. So again, we're just beginning the conversation. The goal is for you to continue going and to equip your home with what God's equipping you to do at your home. So the last question for you guys. Would you rather talk to someone face-to-face or through text message?
It's definitely face-to-face.
Okay?
Because, you know, like I was saying earlier, it just feels more real and it feels more open. And, you know, like Izzy was saying earlier, so I'm speaking from personal experience here. So, like, I've had relationships that started out text message, you know, like we didn't really talk in person that much, and we would talk like on a month for text messages or through text messages, and then, like you said, when you see them, it's just kind of blank, like you don't know what's happening.
So weird, isn't
It's
it?
yeah, it's really
like, wait a
weird,
minute.
and it's like I talked to you for a lot of time through your phone, and it's like
Yeah.
in person, it's just completely awkward, and it's really hard to
That's
talk
so
to
weird.
them. But like if you meet somebody in person, like start off there. Like it's
Yeah.
okay to text people, but like meet them in person early
Yeah.
and really build your foundation off of that. It's a lot easier to communicate with them because you feel like you just know them a lot more and you can feel like
That's
you can
good.
trust them.
Yeah,
So
that's good. What about you?
I feel like if you start one face to face, like you were saying, it's a lot more real and it's actually in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like if it's text message, it's kind of just like blind, and you're like, I don't really know this person. Like, and then when you meet up, it's really awkward and
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought we were friends, but
Yeah.
now I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure, you know?
What?
I bet so many people just related to like what y'all just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, that happened to me like 5 times this week, you know? Okay, so 7:58. We've got like 2 minutes to knock this out.
2 minutes.
So there is a parenting curriculum on Right Now Media. I sent the link out last week. I'll send an email out tomorrow with this for anyone that wants it. But Engage is a parenting curriculum that is found on Right Now Media by Kirk Cameron, the guy I mentioned earlier. And it is basically 5 topics on how to parent your family in the social media dilemma, pretty much. So here's some examples of some questions that are in that curriculum that you guys can have conversations about tonight. And then if you want to do it more in depth, then you can go online and you can check out that curriculum. So here's these questions. What are some people in your life that you feel most comfortable with? What is it about them that makes you feel like you can be yourself? So like we talked about social media versus being in person, why are you more comfortable online than you are in person? What's the issue there? Do you think the time that we spend on our smartphones distracts us from the mission God has called us to do? And what for you particularly is that mission? Do you think some people use their smartphones to avoid conversations, awkwardness, or conflict? And do you think that's a good or bad thing? Why or why not? I think that's a great question. And here's the last question. This one is a kicker. So parents, kind of bear with me here. So you'll have to like kind of work through this question with your kids. So what do you think the role of a parent is? What do you think the role of a child is? And based off of that, do you think that you and your child or you and your parent have a godly relationship? Why do you think that, it's really asking the question, like, why do you think that God set it up that way, and are we reflecting that in our home? And then the last question that kind of pairs with that one is, what, if anything, as you're evaluating your parent and child relationship, what, if anything, would you change about your relationship with your parents and parents with your students? So which one would you smile, Caleb?
I did. I smiled real big.
Cheesing. So ask those questions. Those are really good questions. What, if anything, would you change about your relationship? So it's 8 o'clock. We're jumping off. 3 reminders for you guys is to sign up for our Serve First Saturday. It's this Saturday. We're all coming together for the first time, I think, since we've been apart, since COVID. We're coming together to do an outdoor worship session. We're serving our community all Saturday morning. It's going to be great. Sign up for small groups. Talked about that last week. If you haven't done it, they're all live. They're all awesome. We're all in small groups. We're loving it. It's great.
Baseball small group. Sign up for that one.
Hey, sign up for that one. If you have a question of which one to sign up for, sign up for that one.
Yep.
And then sign up for our Youth Weekend experience. Registration is live online. You can go. I'll put links in the emails tomorrow too. And so sign up for our Youth Weekend experience. It's November 6th and 7th. And it's going to be basically held in host homes all across Greensboro, so we can stay within like regulations and stuff. And it'll be a live streamed conference weekend that we have based on small groups. So we'll have small group breakouts in the homes and all that. It's going to be a great experience. We'll have more details on that to come. If you need to get connected and you don't feel like you know how to get connected, you can text Youth Parent, YTH Parent, to 97,000. I'm going to put it in the chat for anybody that needs it. You can text that to 97,000. And dude, Rick, love you, Rick. We love everybody, parents, students. We're so thankful that you guys are having these conversations. Let us know your testimonies. I loved hearing from people last week talking about how great this was. And we're going to keep doing it every single week. We'll see you next Wednesday at 7:30 online here, if we don't see you at Serve First Saturday. So we love you guys, and we're signing off.
Bye.
Peace. See ya.